Joining Dr. Ajay Kumar, who stays on, is Professor Anand Kumar of the India Against Corruption Party, and Meenakshi Lekhi of the BJP is also with us. Meenakshi, you know, this whole self-righteous outrage attempt by the BJP, we are all outraged that anyone could ask questions about Nitin Gadkari. Our own internal person has given an internal clean chit, and we believe that the internal clean chit is the most transparent process. We're all very angry and upset, etc., etc. Media has got it all wrong. All this has happened, and frankly, it has fallen flat. Why is the BJP continuing to try and defend the indefensible?
I'm sorry, the first thing when you say it is indefensible, it is incorrect. And if wrong perceptions are created about somebody by mal-campaign, the person and the party have every right and responsibility, not just right, but responsibility to fight with that perception. And we have seen how perceptions were created about Gujarat. In spite of the fact 84 riots, many more people had died. All the riots have happened in every Congress-run government, yet you continue to target BJP on wrong facts, incorrect. So then I am within my right to correct that perception and fight you on facts and figures.
You know, this question actually is very interesting because Meenakshi Lekhi, it's a bigger issue than this. Nobody's interested in targeting an individual or a party. Nitin Gadkari is hardly the leader of massive consequence that anyone should be interested in that. The question here is that it was the RSS's Ram Madhav who, after the BJP defeat in 2004, had acknowledged that politics is all about perception. And he said BJP's defeat in Lok Sabha elections is because there was a perception about a dilution in its ideology. Even this chartered accountant who has given an internal clean chit has said perception matters, and you cannot have a businessman heading a political party. That's what I meant. Perception has been at the root of every BJP argument over the last decade and a half.
I agree with you to the extent that it's a battle of perception. But you have to give me the fair chance to correct the perception.
Right.
If the correct fact is that one has investigated only till 2009 and 10, and money in fact belongs to Mehta Group of companies, and there has been no money laundering. It was restructuring of the companies for the simple reason that loan was to be procured. A company which is worth 2,000 crores or a businessman worth 2,000 crore has got entangled into 164 crore, would not want to be known to the world as a debtor. So within the law, within the secretarial practices, you generate, and those companies are owned by him in 2003 and 4.
Lekhi, you see, now, this is where the BJP is getting itself entangled.
You create an incorrect perception.
No, this is where the BJP is getting entangled.
You need to correct the perception in that case.
This is where you're getting entangled. This is where you're getting entangled. And I'd remind you that in September 2008, Kapil Sibal had said that governments cannot be run on public perception.
And so on and so forth. And coal scam. Just to divert that attention, a wrong thing is fed to the media, and the focus is shifted to Nitin Gadkari on a person who only owns a lakh of rupees worth of shares.
Right.
And you say
and you know the whole thing is,
you are entirely, Meenakshi, it is a battle of perception, but we are within our right to fight against that perception which is incorrectly created.
Meenakshi Lekhi, you are entirely entitled to believe that. If you do believe that, and if you are not just saying so because you want to stick to the party line till the very last, but you actually believe that it's all it's perception problem. A driver, an astrologer, other people become shareholders and directors, that is also normal. It happens. It can be explained by some convoluted financial logic, and what appears out here about financial companies which have no basis, no office, no existence can also be washed away. I'm not getting into those details. The question tonight is this: that so far the BJP's argument was perception, wasn't it? Ajay Kumar wants to come in. The BJP had always cornered the UPA on perception. Now that becomes your Achilles heel. Perception becomes your Achilles heel. Yes.
Arnab,
let's hear the other side.
To cut button.
Let Ajay Kumar come in. Hear him.
It is about perception.
Hear him.
The gentleman who's portrayed as a driver is in fact not a driver. Used to run his private taxi. Got an employment. There are so many directors. All those things are part of secretarial practices. And why go after Gadkari? There are n number of companies. I mean, go after Reliance, go after Tata, go after Vadra. Which one chooses to
so now the
I mean,
but you can't,
and you need to change directors every 3 years.
That's where
now a secretarial practice has been made into a corrupt practice.
The moment you get into finger pointing,
a liftman.
This was exactly the argument of the UPA government. Allow me,
is a director in 18 companies.
Meenakshi Lekhi, Meenakshi, you see, that's what the problem. Every time the questions the BJP asked the government 2 years back, pull the tape back, rewind your own tape.
Government is inquiring.
You will hear yourself asking these questions that I am asking you today to the UPA. And every time at that time you said propriety, perception matters. You've lost the perception battle. It's all right. Let's hear the other side. Ajay Kumar.
Arnab, you know, first of all, Meenakshi is making a spirited defense, but issues the BJP's got a huge perception for a couple of things. Look at Bellari brothers. Look at Kushwa. Look at, you know, and even in the coal scam, if you do a deep dive on coal scam, a lot of BJP chief ministers, my state of Jharkhand. So one sec. So from a perception perspective, they have always overlooked, and they're being, you know, very, very smart on double speak. And today, when your people are raising questions, they suddenly feel offended because they're actually trying to defend the indefensible. However, if Meenakshi keeps saying that they're not drivers, they're not what you call
ex-drivers. She's saying they're ex-drivers.
Bakers, etc.
No, she's saying they were drivers.
No, the question is, you know, I would rather, you know, everybody wants to become Nitin Gadkari's driver, you see. Hey, come on, Meenakshi, I would like to be a taxi operator for Nitin Gadkari if this is the way he's going to deal with people.
You see, perception, if perception did not matter,
and Mr.
my question
does not own the company.
Problem is, Meenakshi, one second.
Farmers own the capital, 11% capital comes from the farmers, rest comes from Mehta group of companies.
Now the question here is
Mr. Gadkari only holds it.
The question here is
one second, Meenakshi, the simple question.
The question.
Meenakshi,
yes.
Meenakshi,
Ajay.
The company had a lot of shareholders who never knew they were shareholders. They never knew they were directors of the company. They had no idea. Now, that's a given fact.
A disturbance.
Now, how did that happen? I'm saying a lot of guys in the company are shareholders who never knew they were shareholders. How does that happen?
How does this impact the India Against Corruption Party?
More than 10,000 people are the farmers who are shareholders. Total number of shareholders is 15,000.
Right. Meenakshi.
Mr. Gadkari only holds the share worth 1 lakh of rupees.
Meenakshi, after the defeat in the 2009 Lok Sabha elections, L.K. Advani accepted the public perception that the BJP was not a united house, disillusioned its supporters and workers, that was the reason behind the party's disappointing result. You acknowledge that. Today, everybody is asking, you can present a lawyer's argument, somebody presents a chartered accountant's argument, but the fact of the matter is the biggest opposition party of this country willing to pay with a similar perception price by, not acting or behaving like a bulwark against Mr. Gadkari? And when the person who says I have given a clean sheet on Purti affairs, when the person who's given a clean sheet on Purti affairs, no, 1 minute. And when that person says you can't have a businessman as your party chief, then you are tying yourself up in knots. Let's get Professor Anand Kumar in. Professor Anand Kumar.
Become businessmen.
Professor Anand Kumar.
National Herald and back
Don't divert
firms. Miss Vadra happens to be a director in Mr. Vadra's firm till 2010.
Precisely, but
all the transactions are from 2006
but Meenakshi, may I bring to your kind notice? Meenakshi Lekhi.
Honestly, not to get into politics. Number one. Number two,
Meenakshi Lekhi, 1 minute.
Entire inquiry against Mr. Vadra is being conducted by a hostile
Can you hear me,
government.
Meenakshi?
He is open to that. He has opened his cards and he says, okay, please come and inquire into the transactions. Please come and inquire into my businesses. Income tax inquiries
Meenakshi?
there, serious fraud inquiries there. At the same
Meenakshi, can you hear
time,
me?
these inquiries which should have been conducted against Mr. Vadra, Miss Vadra,
Yes.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Miss
Meenakshi.
Sonia Gandhi, there is no statement.
Yes.
There is no
Yes.
statement on call. There is no statement on 2G. There is no statement on CWG. And we continue to fight
Meenakshi Lekhi.
a battle of perceptions.
Meenakshi Lekhi, I'll tell you something.
Perceptions are
Meenakshi, can you hear me? First of
done
all,
incorrectly and
can you hear
trying
me?
to create